If you're looking for some easy last-minute Halloween inspiration for a cozy dinner at home, you have to try out the squid ink pasta with shrimp. Black and white pasta is laced with garlic and tomato and topped with succulent shrimp. It's colorful and festive, so I'm making it for Halloween, but you can make it any time of the year. So if you want to make this show-stopping pasta, then keep on watching. What's up, universe? It's Julie, your kitchen coach, and welcome back to our channel. And in case you're new, I'm a trained chef who's passionate about helping home cooks gain confidence in the kitchen. And on that note, sometimes holidays and holiday-themed food can be kind of stressful or daunting, but there's nothing to worry about. We're gonna make a simple pasta. I found inspiration when I went to Home Goods of all places, and this is squid ink pasta. It's actually just like a mix. So there's just like a hint of the squid ink. With squid ink pasta, if you buy it dried, most likely you won't be able to taste that kind of briny, fishy taste as much. If you want that taste, you're gonna have to buy it fresh or make it yourself. I'm using it mostly for the color and the look because I love the stripiness. If you can't tell, I'm going for a whole black and white themed here. I don't know, when I went to the store, I just saw it, grabbed it, and that's when I knew what I need to make for you guys. To start off, we're gonna just kind of slightly salt our shrimp, and that's a trick that I always do. Sometimes when people eat my shrimp, they're like, why does yours taste so good? Why is it so juicy? I never really like shrimp, but I like it when you make it. This is the key. So I have about 10 ounces of jumbo shrimp that's peeled and deveined. I did it myself, but you could get it bought that way. And I'm using jumbo, but you can use medium or large as long as you have about 8 to 10 ounces. So I just get a little bit of kosher salt and sprinkle it on there. You don't want to add too much because shrimp can be a little bit briny or salty. And then you just massage it with clean hands. Okay, and then you just leave it on the side to kind of do its thing. You know, I always like to start with my mise en place, which means putting everything in its place. I'm gonna start off with garlic. This is gonna be a very simple pasta. You gotta use 4 cloves of garlic. You can use more if you wanna keep the vampires away. So I'm gonna do 4 cloves of garlic thinly sliced. I should also mention that this is kind of more of a pasta for 2 recipe, so you can always double it if you want to make it for 4. Then I have 1 cup of cherry tomatoes. I'm just gonna cut them in half. I'm switching over to my little serrated paring knife because I find that it's just easier to cut little tomatoes like this with. It's just nice and smooth. And these tomatoes are going to be like your sauce. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze out some lemon juice. If you wanted to add the zest, you totally can too because that adds a lot of flavor. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it, sometimes I'm not. So normally I really love lemon in my pasta. This time I'm only going to use about half of a small lemon so that I have about 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice in the end. Again, all of this is preference, so if you feel like you want to adjust my amounts, you totally can. If you didn't want to use shrimp, you can totally use scallops or even squid too. So we're going to go for about 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley. Some of it will go into the pasta, some of it will be garnished at the end. I love the fresh smell of parsley. You can already tell this is going to be a pretty colorful pasta. And the last bit of prep I'm going to do is grate some fresh Parmesan cheese. And we're going to go for about half a cup. I'm actually getting pretty good at just eyeballing the measurements. All right, we'll leave that on the side. And then I'll meet you at the stove. Okay, with pasta dishes, I normally like to work side by side, meaning that the water, the salted water, is boiling while I'm getting my sauce ready. You know, if it's a quick cooking sauce like this one is. We're gonna drizzle in some extra virgin olive oil, about 2 tablespoons. I'm gonna eyeball it. You might have to add a little more when you add the garlic. Just gonna heat that up a bit. The pan has been preheating just a little bit. And with my water that I'm gonna cook the pasta in, I did make sure that it was well salted because that is your first step in seasoning this pasta correctly. We're gonna add in our shrimp. And you know, you did it right when you hear that sizzle. You know, this says jumbo shrimp, but this doesn't look jumbo to me. And we're gonna let that go for a little less than a minute. And I know that my water is actively boiling, but it only takes about 6 to 7 minutes to cook this pasta. So you read the directions on your bag or box. And I'm just gonna do that once the shrimp is out so that it can kind of time better together. So searing your shrimp first not only makes sure that the shrimp tastes good, but it's also going to develop some fond at the bottom of your pan, which will also add a little bit of that seafood flavor into your sauce. Okay, nicely pinkish brown. Oh, that's a good sear. Keep an eye on it because there's probably nothing worse than overcooked shrimp. So once again, it probably takes a little bit under a minute for the first side and then way less for the second side, and then you're done. You can see the tails are starting to curl. When I took the shells off, I opted to keep the tails on because I feel like it just stays a little juicier that way. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying to eat that way, but I think it looks prettier and it stays juicier. And see that fond that developed over there? I'm just gonna make sure I have enough olive oil in the pan to cook that garlic, so I'm gonna add in another tablespoon or more. And at this point, I will add my pasta. If you don't have the same bow tie farfalle pasta as me with the black and white, don't worry me out. You can use any kind of squid ink pasta that you want. If you really can't find it, then you can just use regular pasta. It'll still be really good. This is truly a make it any time of the year, make it any night of the week kind of pasta. Give this a little stir and a swirl. I'm gonna add in my garlic. Turn it down a bit. Then we're gonna add in some crushed red pepper flakes because that's right, it's me. And I last time put in about 1/4 teaspoon and Joe didn't think it was spicy enough for him. This time, maybe I'll go for about 1/2, we'll see. Ooh, don't let that garlic burn. It can get toasty and brown, but don't let it burn. Every now and then, I'm just gonna give that pasta a stir. I'm just gonna use my same spatula because it's gonna go back in here anyway. Same flavoring. Ooh, smells so good. Okay, once that's going, we're gonna deglaze with some wine. I have 1/2 cup of white wine. You can use any kind of dry white wine. It's bubbling like a potion. So what we're gonna do is reduce this concoction for about half. So it'll take maybe about 2 to 3 minutes. Keep an eye on it. If your fond hasn't deglazed by now, use a spatula to help pick it up. If you didn't want to use wine, could you use something else? Yes, you could use like a low sodium chicken or vegetable broth if you want, or even like a shrimp or seafood broth. Heck, you could even make your own shrimp broth by taking the shells that were on the shrimp and boiling that down too. So it reduced by about half. It's nice and thick and kind of glazy. So we're gonna add in our sliced tomatoes. So at this point, I'm gonna add a little bit of seasoning, some salt. I love to season in layers. You can add some black pepper too. Because there is red pepper flakes, you don't have to add too much black pepper to the whole dish. So we're gonna let the tomatoes break down just a little. For me personally, I like my tomatoes to stay a little bit intact. So if it gets too reduced before the pasta is ready to go in, I'll just turn it off and let it catch up. But we're going for about al dente or maybe just under al dente, so it's a little firmer because it's gonna continue to cook a little more in this pan. Nice and salty. Now, before I forget, on that note, when the pasta's almost done cooking, grab yourself the measuring cup and scoop out about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of the starchy, salty cooking water. You do that in case you're not like me and you drain your pasta in a colander over the sink. Then you don't want to get rid of this flavor. The starchy liquid is what is the glue to help the pasta adhere to the sauce, get a little bit thick and glossy and meld all together. As for me, I'm just gonna use a skimmer, and actually it just times out pretty good right now. So I'm gonna turn this off. And that way, if some of the water goes into the pan, it clings onto the pasta, that's fine by me. Look at that gorgeousness. It reminds me of Beetlejuice. It's very trippy, right? It's a trippy looking pasta. Most squid ink pasta is all pure black, and that would be beautiful too. It'd be like a nice jet black color. We're gonna add in our pasta as well as about 1/4 cup. So that's about half of this, of the salty, starchy cooking water. We're gonna add in about 1 tablespoon of the lemon juice. You can add 2 tablespoons if you like, but like I said, I don't want it to be too overwhelmingly lemony. Along with that, we're gonna add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. And what this butter does is that it kind of emulsifies everything together. It makes everything turn into kind of like a silky, glossy sauce, thickens it up, and brings it all together. And as the pasta water reduces, it's going to also cling on to the pasta. And you can see the tomatoes are breaking down even more right now. So that's why I kind of stopped them from being cooked down too much beforehand. I'm gonna add in about a quarter cup of my Parmesan cheese and just leave just a little bit left for the topping at the end. And same thing with my parsley. I'm gonna put in some of my parsley now and I'll reserve some of it for topping later. Look at that fun color. So I do want the pasta to drink up most of the sauce, but not overly because then it'll be kind of dry. So I'm gonna let it do its thing for just a little longer. Add back our shrimp, heat that up. Although because I did this so quickly, my shrimp is still warm. That looks so colorful, right? That pink with the black and white, papa red and green. So it's like Halloween food, but not like spooky and frightening. Taste for seasoning. Oh, that is good. Just a little salt and turn it off. We're ready to plate. I'm gonna finish it off with just a drizzle of olive oil, extra virgin, and then a scattering of the Parmesan cheese, or a snowfall, and some parsley. I know some people are funny about seafood with cheese, but I love it. I think it works great. Okay, here we go. I think Joe's right. I like it with a little bit more kick. So half a teaspoon of the crushed red pepper flakes really jazzes it up. And I don't taste the brininess of the pasta because, like I said, it's not gonna really come through. It's really just the aesthetic in this situation. But I could see how that seafood brininess would be so good with this flavor. Have some shrimp with it. Perfectly tender, sweet and succulent, just how I like it. I think this is a nice surprise pasta for your family or your friends, especially for Halloween or any festive occasion. I think it's just a very whimsical, fun take on food, especially for the holidays. Remember to push like, leave a comment below if you want to try this or if you've tried something like this before, and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you turn on the notifications to all so that you know when the next video like this comes out. Also, be sure to stay tuned for parts 2 and 3 as I have a couple more Halloween surprises for you coming up next. So make sure that you're subscribed. As always, all the written recipes, amounts are in the description box. There's a link to our website on chefjulieyoon.com where you can print it out for free. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Happy Halloween.